Excerpts from an executive training given in Southern California to give you a preview and a taste of Leadership Alchemy. What is Leadership Alchemy? It's about aligning all aspects of your being, your mind, your heart, and your soul, dissolving any blockages in the way of your optimal impact. So you have inspired leadership, can communicate clearly with your team, everyone can connect quickly and develop tight bonds and unite so your team can achieve your vision, your leadership vision. The topics that we'll cover: mindful leadership, how to hone your mind, how to tune your heart, the concept of communication channels, building tight bonds of connection, and lastly, team unity and vision. As always, if you've enjoyed the content, feel free to reach out so we can explore how I can be of support for your leadership impact and team synergy. Enjoy the video. And when you're ready, close your eyes, because I'm going to take you through a preparatory experience so you can actually declare your intention for our time together, and then this clever thing right here. So I invite you all to close your eyes, and whenever you're ready, get comfortable. I want you to maintain your breath as you're doing this. There's no right or wrong. Simply breathe into your belly. Remember, inhale is out, exhale is in. What I want you to do is I want you to feel your body on the chair. I want you to feel your body on your chair. I want you to check into your body. I want you to feel your feet touching the ground. I want you to start to become present and bring your awareness into your body. Now, as you do this, I want you to go up to your head and bring your awareness to your head. And as you maintain your breath, I want you, like a waterfall, to scan your body. And as it comes down, as your awareness comes down, like a waterfall, feel relaxation overwhelming you. Starting at your head, feel the energy coming down through your torso, through your belly, going down through your hips, all the way down to your feet. And maintaining your eyes closed, what I'd like you to do is now go to your head, maintaining your breath. And in your head, I want you to say hello a couple of times. In your own head. Sounds quirky, I know. Keep going. Say hello. And as you're breathing and you're saying hello, I want you to notice who is saying hello. Who is the you? Who is the I? Is it the person saying the hello, or is it the person hearing the hello? Now, what I want you to do as you're there, maintaining your breath, now I want you to do one more thing. I want you to go above your head. I want you to see yourself from above, looking down. I want you to take your awareness above yourself, looking down at yourself, looking down at the room. Now I want you to go a little bit higher up, and I want you to broaden your awareness to the room. Notice some sounds, anything else. And when you're ready and complete with that, I want you to put your hand on your heart. And I want you to now take your breath into your heart. Breathing into your heart with your hand over your heart. I want you to think back to a grateful experience you had recently. It could be a celebration, winning a case, closing a client, a birthday, a date with a loved one. Bring that forth into your heart. Feel it in your heart. And as you're breathing into your heart, I want you to feel that feeling. Actually invoke the memory. Feel the memory. And while you're in this state, I want you, with your eyes closed, maintaining your breath, I want you to say to yourself, my intention for this training is. My intention for this training is. I want you to bring that forth while you're maintaining this state. And then before you open your eyes, I want you to do one more thing. This feeling of gratitude, you're going to say, I am, and fill in a word that will remind you of this state, because we're going to bring it back throughout the night. So you're going to say, I am, and fill in the blank. It could be, I'm grateful, I am loving. It's a phrase that will remind you of this gratitude moment. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes. And what I invite you to do on the paper, and take your time, is write your intention on the paper. And what I call this heart anchor, write your I am statement. I am blank. So I'll give you a moment to digest this. When I talk about the mindscape, what I'm talking about is the field of the mind, where the thoughts, the T word, comes in. And we'll get to the hardscape next. So this is going to be some more of the practical. I'm here to show you what I believe are some techniques that could help in what I would say is regrooving your mindscape. So first and foremost, words will show you the patterns that your mind has made. Words will show you the patterns your mind has made, both your blockages, your limiting beliefs, your way of being, your beliefs, everything, simply through your words and your syntax. And as it says here, they're doorways into your construct of reality. Those of you who have done psychology, they call it a schemata. They call it your lens of reality. Okay? So the words tell us what that lens is, and all we got to do is sit back and listen to ourselves. Those that know me, they think it's my legal training because I'm very careful with words. No, I'm careful with my construct of reality. I've mastered my mind so that anything coming out of my mouth is intentional. Because if it's not intentional, guess what? We already have heuristics and inner dialogue, and we have this pattern. So if I don't control it, all it's going to do is it's going to hijack, take the driver's seat, and it's out the door. And then you're, wondering why you keep doing the same things over and over again. And as Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So what this requires is to actually shift your awareness, to go inwards. That's where the heavy lifting is here, folks. That 3 rings, the heavy lifting is at the core, the I. If you start there, I promise you that the reverberate, and with your clients, with anybody you know, share this, because that's where the heavy lifting lies, is within the I. So let's start by talking about how do we, in terms of the mindscape, how do we regroove? So the first is regrooving. When I mean regrooving, to be clear, in case anybody's kind of being unclear, think about it this way, drawing a line in the sand. Over time, your mind draws that line deeper and deeper and deeper, and pretty soon you have these patterns. You have these simple, boop, click whir. Robert Cialdini in his book Influence calls it click whir. You push a tape and off you go. And before you know it, one thing leads to another and you're in this pattern. You've been hijacked. So the first thing we're going to do right now, and I invite you into it, is how do you take a limiting belief? So what's a limiting belief, Haas? A limiting belief is, you know what? I'm not good with emotions. Says who? You know what? I can't really run that fast. Well, if you're short and you're chubby, well, that's a little practical problem. My point is the limiting beliefs are in there. And those of you that have done this work before, I encourage you to do this practice, and we're going to do it all together now. So what I want you to do is on that piece of paper is sit back, take a deep breath. Again, remember, inhale out, exhale in. Actually center, ground yourself, and come forth with one. What is something that's gnawing at you? What's something that you're like, geez, I wish I could do this, or I can't do this. This is a not for me. This is something that limits me. This is something that I believe is a limitation for me. The more specific and practical you can be, the better. I can't help you with anything too abstract. Well, I can. It'll take a lot more time than an hour. And when you have that, what you've done is you've written the groove now. So step 1, you've written the groove. You've written down on the paper, this is what my brain has entrenched. This is the groove. Step 2 is then how do you undo it? Well, you got to fill that groove. So then most people go, I don't want to be this. So let's pause on this. I don't want to be this. The brain doesn't register the word not. Are you with me? So when I say, let's say my limiting belief is, I don't want to be judgmental. I'm judgmental. Okay, great. So how do I regroove that? I go, I don't want to be judgmental. The brain doesn't register the word not, and it goes, I'm judgmental. So the brain goes, here you go, be judgmental some more. So the second step is not to simply say, I don't want to be this. It's to figure out what would be the opposite of that. I sit in observation. The second piece of practice is where am I resisting my thought pattern, my feelings, my heart, my emotional nature? Where am I resisting that? And I'll show you where that resistance shows up in a moment. So we move forward. How are we on time? Okay, cool. We're going to speed things along. So the heart space. I'll give you a moment to digest this, take this in. So again, going into fullness, looking at where you get full. The word I want to draw out for us is charges. What are charges? Charges are, in 8th grade, this happened to me. In 3rd grade, this happened to me. 2 years ago, this happened to me. Created an emotion. The little known secret about energy is its natural state, ladies and gentlemen, is to flow, to come and go. We attach it. We are the best collectors in the universe. We simply go, I'm going to keep this energy. I'm going to add more to my cup. I'm going to keep getting full. And that's what a charge is. Now, where do these charges come out? In our interactions. So it's not AJ that is the problem. It's something that gets triggered within me in relation to what he said or did as an opposing attorney that then brought up something I had collected, this charge, which then goes into this reactive state and interrupts my cohesion. So again, how do I release that, Haas? How do I get rid of that? Because these stored energies, not only do they interrupt your cohesive state, they're blocking your flow. People get sick. Most disease has its root in this type of stuff, deep traumas. So very easy. With the mind, we talked about regrooving. With the heart, we talk about neutralizing the charge, right? It's a charge, polarity. So how do I neutralize it? First step, the obvious, pause, tune in. It's in your body. And we're going to do some exercises in a moment to practice this out. Check in. If you're new to this, which I thought I was good, and I've been challenged a lot in the last few years, and I had for a moment to go into, okay, what do I feel in my body? I can't describe the emotions. I'm not EQ enough back then. So what do I feel? Oh, it's a tightness in my stomach, or it's a little bit of a butterfly up here. What came up is the key question you want to ask yourself. What's the charge that came up? And it has to be contemporaneous awareness. That's when it works the best. When it's in the moment, because that's when the charge is ripe. Because the next thing that's going to happen is this bad boy called the ego, which hides in the mindscape, is going to go, whoop, let's sweep this under the rug, ladies and gentlemen. And don't want to look at this. Doesn't make me feel good. Haas is bringing up a lot of stuff, making me feel really icky right now. Don't worry, it'll get better. That's what came up. That's what came up. That's what's in here. And people are running from it. And it's causing a lot of illness. So why don't we do this? Why don't we get up again? Because I'm going to show you a couple of really quick techniques, and then we're going to do a couple of quick exercises. So the caveat is this. Understand, energy leaves on its own. What you need to do is create a space between you and the emotional charge. And the best way to do that is through the breath. When you breathe, you create a space between the subject, which is you, and the object, which is the charge. And as you detach and you actively disengage over time, guess what happens to that charge? It neutralizes and it goes away. So you have to actually sit with these emotions sometimes. Most people are like, no, I don't want to sit with my old traumas. I'm like, it's actually very therapeutic and it's been proven time and time again. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach you 3 breaths. Well, we've already done really 2 of them. The grounding breath, which, who's going to tell me what the grounding breath is? The inhale, out, exhale. Anyone? Show of hands. I love volunteers. Craig, go. So you've heard this 50.
Deep breath through the diaphragm.
And inhale is what?
Through the nose.
Inhale and then
out. And exhale, belly.
Beautiful. If you find yourself having trouble listening, if you find yourself having trouble being present, heart-centered, all those fancy New Age terms you may have heard, then you're not breathing into your diaphragm and you're not fully present. So simple. How can you communicate? So this is the number one thing that I find when people have miscommunication or conflict, both in a legal sense or pre-litigation, mediation, any type of this miscommunication-oriented conflict, you find that the people giving the communication were unclear, were cloudy, and they were in this place of like, I don't even know what I want. And then I go, makes sense why there's miscommunication, and here's why. From communication theorists, I think it was Paul Watzlawick, if I'm not mistaken, this is a fundamental little formula, if you were, of communication sciences. Miscommunication, they say communication, I say miscommunication, equals S, as in the message sent, the numerator, for those that love math, and in the denominator, the message received never equals 1. I'll repeat that. The message sent over the message received never equals 1. Because we're having a human experience, when I say, hey, John, this is what I'm saying, his reception will never be what I actually said. Again, for the math geeks in the room, you can converge towards this infinity 1. You won't actually hit it. There will be a gap. And what we're going to talk about here is how do you close that gap. First, we've already covered it, you got to be clear on the inside. If you're not clear on the inside, then this is going to be way larger of a gap because you're not even clear on who you are and what you want as a leader to then communicate that, and you already have this theoretically as a problem. And the other piece of this to theoretically, or conceptually I should say, wrap your head around is channels. Channels. What do I mean by channels? Communication, and why I write it this way is not to be cutesy, it involves connecting. So when I'm communicating with Danny, I'm connecting. The more connected, the more I commune with Danny, the greater this will be closer to one, because there's a channel. So the goal is to harmonize that channel. What I mean by harmonize, get the static out. Well, we already covered the mental and emotional static. Now we're going to talk about the communication static, is what actually causes this channel of communication to just get off. So the first is wholehearted listening. If you haven't been present the last 30, 40 minutes, wholehearted listening starts with the breath, being present. Your anchor code, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to say the I am statement right now. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say your I am statement. Feel into the I am statement, whatever it was for you. And as you breathe, now I want you to open your eyes. And honestly, isn't there more vibrance to the room and a little bit more of a settling and more of a calm? Well, if you ever have a question as to what the heck do all these woo-woo people and new age people mean and psychologists mean by wholehearted listening, that's what they mean. It means aligning in that cohesive state, which we covered, and simply breathe, bring up gratitude, and you'll get there. That allows you to actually listen, to receive the information, to make sure what you're saying is clear. It brings you presence. The second, which we'll get to, is the elements of a clear ask. Most people are not fully relaying information. They're either passive-aggressive, something's going on, they're not being clear. Active listening. Once you relay it, you want to actually receive what the other person says back because it's a two-way street. So how do you actively listen? We'll cover that in a sec. I want to pause here. Into that business. Were you very likely or low on likely? Low. When people talk about engagement, they're talking about active participation. So why not have the vision both for the founder's sake as well as, so you roll it out, transparency, right? You roll it out to the firm and you go, hey, everybody, this is where we're headed. Put your fingerprints on it. We're open to all hands on deck meeting so that what happens is everybody in the ecosystem, remember that outer rung, starts to relate to the business differently. Now we've covered the I, we've covered the team. Now it's everybody else. It's the lower tiers, right? Then they start to get engaged. Then those bonds start to tighten. You follow? And that's what's important is the vision. Most people don't know where they're going, and if they do, they think it's a big secret at the leadership level and they don't share it with the firm. And then employees, especially with the millennials and all of these flighty personality types, they're like, well, I don't want to invest in somebody that I don't know where we're going. Or I know where we're going and I don't agree. Rudder, we talked about it. Criterion for decisions and control mechanism. What's going to keep our ship straight? How do we operate? This is very difficult conversations need to be had. Communication is seminal. Compartments. Everybody does an organizational chart. What I find is they do an organizational chart in an abstract vacuum, and they don't actually say, what are the pragmatic compartments? Somebody needs to shovel in coal to our steam engine. Somebody needs to look out for icebergs. You need to develop these compartments or departments, whatever you want to call them, flush it out, and then you org chart it and you assign the people and ask them, is this fully what you want to be doing? Is this what you signed up at Haas Incorporated for? And here's what we expect of you. I mean, Tiffany, this is all your terrain. It's the telling them, engaging them, and talking to them. Now, when we say culture, this has a very constructive impact on culture. Because what will end up happening is it forces the leaders to not simply state their values and their mission and put it on the board and walk by it, and then you have a gap. You have a gap between actual values, what they're doing day to day, and their stated values. This, again, this process is the key. The journey is the actual goal. The actual document that comes out of it, it's toilet paper for all the partners care. Literally.